Well, I'm Chris Blackwood.
Hey everyone, I'm Martin Johnson.
Yeah, I remember being approached by Curtis one night at Outreach, and he just asked us if we'd be interested in planting a church. And at first, I was like, "Are you sure you want to do that with us?" We prayed about it first and just agreed to give it a go, and we were just open to new experience and just the adventure of that. In the early going, it was a little slow, and we were just wondering if this thing was gonna take off or not, but we just didn't give up, and we kept praying, and God kind of did the rest. So we just started out by gathering here in this living room and just praying together and seeking God and just sharing the gospel with whoever we could.
So in the earlier part of the summer, we had a handful of people start to come out to our church. And on this particular night, we had a talk about deliverance. We had no idea what God was going to do or what it was going to look like. But as the night progressed into what we thought would be just a regular prayer night, it turned into a night of people getting delivered from evil spirits, lies that were crippling their minds and hearts, and people just being set free. So that night we had one girl that got delivered who then said she wanted to get baptized. So we baptized her here in the house in our bathtub. What we thought was just one baptism ended up turning into 3. 2 other people got delivered from demons and decided they wanted to surrender to Christ and get baptized also. Around midnight, we ended up going down to Beavermead, and our 2 other friends got baptized down there in the river.
Evangelism has always been just core to our values, and we just try to instill that in our group every week as much as possible. We do this sharing weekly testimonies and also just getting people to set goals, asking who can I reach, who has God uniquely put in my sphere of influence that I can go and share the gospel with, that I can just share my testimony with. These people who just received freedom in Christ and were delivered, baptized, and either rededicated or dedicated their lives to Christ for the first time, they're immediately being discipled and trained to go after the lost. People who just need that same touch from God. There was also this discipleship school that was running in August, and just a bunch of new believers went and learned about their identity in Christ and learned how to evangelize, and then wrapped up with this awesome RV trip. And just to give an example of what our outreach might have looked like then, so we went to a beach the one day in Barrie, and there was, thousands of people on the beach that day. It was just absolutely packed. Yeah, and we were worshiping and sharing testimonies under an awning, and this one guy came and stood right in the front. It was like God just highlighted him to me, and I was like, I gotta go pray for this guy. I went and prayed for this guy, and it turned out he hadn't been baptized yet, and he wanted to get baptized and to surrender his life to the Lord completely. So we ended up baptizing him in the lake, and another person as well that day. So that was awesome. And Curtis just started preaching the gospel to the crowd after we baptized these guys, and a bunch of us just kind of dispersed over the beach and started explaining to people what was going on, and just using that as an open door to share the gospel with them.
Some of these new believers who were involved in our house church and also in the discipleship school went on to start sharing the gospel basically everywhere they went. People they came into contact with, friends, family members, people like workplaces, strangers also. They just took what they learned and quickly put the practice into their lives. They started to begin to see the full fruit of walking out the Great Commission. And it was just beautiful to see their immediate obedience and willingness to step out and share their stories and the love of Christ with people.
During the last month of that summer, we saw around 30 people get baptized through our church, which was just amazing. And that year we saw around 100 baptisms between our 2 Disciple City teams in Canada. Incredible, and we started off so small and simple and just quickly grew through multiplication. So eventually we had nights where there were 40 to even pushing 50 people just in the backyard, and we could literally like barely fit inside the house. Like we couldn't fit in the house anymore. So we started multiplying and planting other churches. Out of that came 4 other churches, and it's just been incredible. Yeah, so we've just seen so many people empowered in this way, like that they can be a leader, that they can hear God's voice, and that they can go and make disciples and even plant churches just like we've done. Like that's always been our hearts, is to see other people empowered as leaders.
To encourage anyone in church planting or anyone who has a heart to see disciple making, to see that movement happening in your city and your communities, I would encourage everybody, don't give up, persevere, and also don't put any limits or any cap on what you think is possible, because through God, all things are possible.